What's up, book nerds, and welcome back to my channel. A few weeks back, went to the spa for my birthday, and I talked briefly that I was reading It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. I read this at the spa in like one day. I am now very interested in Colleen Hoover, and I will definitely read more of her books.
I just saw Haley's comment, she waved.
This book, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, is about a girl named Lily, and she grew up in a very abusive home. Her father was domestically violent to her mother. He would abuse her and normally would stop when Lily would come into the room. A lot of it was revolved around alcohol. He was definitely an alcoholic. The story actually starts with Lily meeting a boy on a rooftop named Ryle, and her dad had actually just died, and now it was just her mom alone. And growing up, she always kind of just struggled that her mom never left her dad, because although her dad was kind of a good father to her on some levels, she also saw how awful he treated her mother, and she could just never really forgive him for that. So she had just gotten done with this funeral and was on this random rooftop and met this boy named Ryle, and he was like abusing a chair and so upset, and then they just kind of hit it off, and he basically tried to get her to have a one-night stand with him, and she said no. You definitely felt the sparks, and he told her a story. He actually revealed that he was a doctor, and he was like, what if a boy shot his brother because his parents left a gun safe unlocked and like the gun loaded in the house, because that's what Ryle said he was so upset about and kicked the chair about. She actually goes home and starts reading past letters, like her diary kind of, when she was younger with her father and everything, and we start to learn about a boy named Atlas, and he was actually homeless and lived in the house behind Lily's childhood home. And Lily would like watch him and then start to help him like leave food and clothes out back. They finally acknowledged each other that they both knew that he was homeless living there, and then they started kind of becoming friends. So it kind of flashes between the past and present. And in the present, Lily meets Ryle again, and she actually meets him when she opens up a flower shop, and she hires his sister. Just kind of perchance, she was walking past the store and thought that maybe she could get hired because Lily looked like she needed help, and the sister is like super rich, so she kind of just needed something to do. She starts working for her, and Ryle comes in, and Lily actually falls and hurts herself, so Ryle has to help her, being the like doctor that he is. And then it's revealed to this sister and her husband that they do actually know each other. It just kind of becomes this like flirty, steamy relationship between Ryle and Lily, and I was there for it until they start getting more serious. There's this new restaurant that opens called Bibs, Best in Boston. This book takes place in Boston, Massachusetts. She keeps reading these past flashbacks from her diary about Atlas. He kind of helped her with hurt feelings, like deal with how her father was abusive. One night she actually almost grabbed a knife and was like going to go stab her father because he was actually raping her mother. It was just awful, and Atlas was there. And they fell in love, and then he got like a cousin or something that would take him in, some sort of family, and so he was going to leave. And he didn't really want to because Lily and him were in love finally, but he ended up leaving because it was best for him. Like, he couldn't just be homeless forever, and he did have family that cared about him and would take him in. And Lily knew that, and so she let him go. And then one night he comes back and they actually have sex. Her father somehow like finds them together and beats Atlas up almost to like the point of death. And then her father didn't even, I think, get charges pressed on him because Atlas was like homeless. He had no one, but he went to the emergency room, and that was kind of the end of that relationship, and they never saw each other again until they went to this Bibs place, and it turns out he was actually the head chef there and opened the restaurant. He was also the owner, and so he came out to talk to them like on this date. The reason she went to Boston was because Atlas always talked about Boston. He had given her a few trinkets that she had kept forever, along with this diary, of course, and Atlas said that if he was ever in a stable place, he would find her because he loved her. And obviously he was now an owner of a restaurant and a chef, and he had never found her and reached out. So she saw him there, kind of ruined her night. Ryle just thought she was nervous, but really she was just thinking about Atlas. And then when they were leaving, she like talked to him, and he said that he had a girlfriend. Time goes on, and Ryle actually a few times gets really upset and hurts Lily, domestically abuses her violently. Not good. It happens once, and Lily just kind of lets it slide. He says it won't happen again. She forgives him. The second time it happened, Lily actually is forced to go to Bibbs with Ryle's sister. It turns out that she had just been abused, so she had some like showing of that, like bruises and such. And Atlas saw that, got super upset at Ryle, pulled Lily aside into a bathroom, and they were talking, and then Ryle saw this, and then Ryle and Atlas kind of got into it, and then Atlas was like, if you ever touch her, hurt her, like, I will come for you. Lily actually agrees to marry Ryle, and they get married pretty quick. Everything is all in good. They get a new apartment, and they're living together kind of where his sister and husband live, and her flower shop is taken off. He's like getting help, and he thinks he's all good. She's kind of forgiven him. He found a Best in Boston magnet on the fridge, and then found the diary, and just connected it all, and just got very jealous. And he was also drinking, and he actually choked Lily and then tried to rape her, basically, just like a flashback. She actually goes to Atlas's house, like calls him up, because he had given her his number in case she ever needed it because of Ryle's abuse, and Atlas just didn't trust him. She called Atlas to come get her from the apartment after she was abused, and they went to the hospital to make sure everything was okay. They did a blood test on her and told her that she was pregnant. She has to decide to stay with this man who abuses her or get out of this relationship and be separated parents, a single mother raising this child. So she stays with Atlas for a little while, and then Ryle actually gets into this medical program across seas, I think somewhere in Europe, and he says, I'm sorry, and leaves. She didn't tell him upon his departure that she was pregnant. She's given a few months to like settle down. She had time to think, and when he comes back, he found out obviously that she was pregnant. And then basically they're separated, and he keeps apologizing and trying to get back into her life, and it's almost like you think she's gonna give in and like forgive him completely, and that they're gonna be together. But then the baby is born, and she realizes while they're holding her for the first time, like, if a man ever hurt our daughter like you hurt me, would you want her to stay with him? And he started bawling, and she was bawling because he was like, no, like, I'd tell her to go, like, leave his ass. He's not worth it. The relationship isn't worth it, and this girl is worth more than that. Lily basically made the decision for her daughter that being strong and independent and alone, away from the domestic violence in that life, would be better for her child and for herself. She leaves him, and that's that. And then she's walking this baby girl on the street, and she runs into Atlas. It's mentioned that she is separated from Ryle, that they're divorced, and like they just co-parent. You get the sense that Atlas and Lily are gonna end up together because Atlas was always there for her and would never hurt her. It ends with us, Colleen Hoover. So very good. It was just amazing to read. Very sad, but great love story. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great night, day, week, etc. Bye.
My eyes are rolling.